Hello, hello. I'm Avis Williams, the CEO of the Joyful Collaborative, and this is a prescription for joy. And as you can tell, I am still with a live studio audience at When Women Lead, and here with my great friend Bren, and still talking about joy and leadership. This is part 2 of our series where we're just digging deep on joy and leadership at the When Women Lead conference. Just want to remind our viewers and listeners that, again, this is a prescription for joy, and if you're a leader and interested in how joy can impact your effectiveness and your productivity, this podcast is for you. And I also want to remind you that I use the term leader loosely, because for me, it does not matter if you're a kindergarten teacher, if you're staying at home, if you're running a Fortune 500 company. If you are in any role and you're up and you're a human and you're breathing, then joy is for you. And I hope that you'll get something out of this podcast. So welcome back, Bren.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yay, yay. So last time we were talking about joy in leadership. Mm-hmm. And we did talk a little bit about joy as a leadership strategy. And today I want to get a little bit deeper in the leading while female piece. Mm-hmm. And I call this segment Leading While Female and Fierce.
And fierce. That's me all day.
All day. Yes, it is you. And we know that the role of leadership does look different for men and women, right? And I mentioned in the first part of this series that even though 80% of educators are women, those roles at the top seat become more and more white and male as you move up the ranks, right? And as women who are leaders, we are in this world, in that ecosystem, and still thriving. I love what my sister Soups are doing. I love seeing these dynamic women principals out there rocking and rolling. But what does it mean to lead authentically as a woman in today's educational or corporate spaces?
Mm-hmm. Got you. So 2 quotes come to mind, and I'm a quotes person. I had someone tell me, we want people to be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brains fall out. So when I think about going to work, I got the Bren at home, and I have a Bren with my girlfriends, and then I have a Bren that goes to work. And I believe what I seek to bring to my work is my best professional, authentic self. Okay. Because I know that there are pieces of me that I have to hold close from people that I'm in deeper community with. Yeah. So I don't bring I can't handle all that. So I don't bring the full brand, but my best authentic professional self, and authentic in what I believe, so that my beliefs and my behaviors are aligned. So I walk the walk and I talk the talk. I'm a person who deeply believes that our nation's most sacred trust is the education of our children. And I take that personally, and I hold that close to my heart, and those opportunities that I have to either support people who are teaching our children, or leading our schools, or leading our districts. I hold that up as a North Star for me.
I love that. When we think about authenticity, even just showing up as yourself physically, right? I lead several groups, and in one of our leadership groups, one of the participants, and we had a break, came up to me and she said that when I saw your hair, I knew it was okay to be here. And she was serious. I mean, because she was in a space where people didn't wear their hair like this, or she was afraid to wear her natural hair. And so the whole thing about authenticity, it can cross so many different lines about who we are as a woman, as a Black woman, and so forth. And I love how you bring your full self into the role and your authenticity and professionalism.
That's right. Absolutely.
Love that.
So for you, I'm curious, have you ever faced resistance from showing up fully as yourself? I think you actually just gave an example of somebody that was facing some resistance to that. But have you ever faced anything like that was a really great barrier to you being your full self? If so, how did you respond?
Yeah.
And keep your joy.
Right, and keep my joy. And I have had that happen. And you know, it's really hurtful too when you think that you can't bring your whole self to a role. Because, you know, when people hire you, they're hiring all of you. Right, and we know that what we have to leave at home. Right, we're professional enough to know what we have to leave at home. But I did get hired. You know, I've had at least one role that I was just not a good fit for, despite the fact that they hired me. And they clearly had expectations for me to move in a different way. I was replacing a white male who was 74 and had been in this position for 36 years. And when I applied for the job, I was really clear on my beliefs, on, you know, wanting to address achievement gaps and making sure that learning was happening for all children, right? And everybody was, you know, yay. But the reality of it was, they did not want that. They wanted to stay the course. It was one of those situations, you've heard people say that I love change as long as things can stay the same. It was one of those situations. And, you know, I had family members like literally bristling at me, you know, in ways that was, I was like clutching my pearls. I'm clutching my pearls, you know, they're feeling some type of way, but it was a way of being treated that I wasn't used to.
That's right.
Right? And I've even had a time in a different circumstance where there was a complaint about how I dress, which I thought was really interesting because no one could give me any specifics. You know, and you know, somebody told me it was a body shaming thing. You know, okay, I'm a woman, I work out. I'm proud of that, right? You know, I love wearing my Chucks and can't see them on the camera right now. I'm good with that. You know, and so, you know, when you start hearing things like that, even if you hear something like that one time, it's not a good feeling. And especially when it doesn't come with some actionable feedback. Because I'm very open if there was a situation to where, you know, for this opportunity, dress this way, and I didn't do it, right? Then I would certainly want to know that. You know, so I do think that as women, we have to provide ourselves with that self-compassion that I mentioned in the last episode, and give ourselves grace and understanding, but also, you know that, you know, just because someone says it doesn't mean it's so. You know, just because someone else may believe something doesn't mean that it's so. And you continue to bring our best selves to the work, because that's what our families and children that we serve deserve.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, and it's not always easy, but that's what we do. You know, and one of the things that, you know, I think about when I think about this conference is what are we doing collectively,
right?
You know, because we can say individually, well, in my district we're doing this, and you know, and having worked in multiple school districts like you, we know that it's different from one district to the next, and that's okay. But how can we collectively support and celebrate each other's leadership journeys?
Wow. So when I think a couple of things immediately come to mind. I try to be somebody that if you're my sister group, that you can trust your reputation to me in your absence. So if I'm in a room, nobody better say nothing about my girl. Or my girl Christina over here. I'm not going to have it, friends. I'm not going to let you speak negative on their name. So I work to be that kind of person, and I think women have to be that kind of person to each other. And also a person who will I'll speak her name in the presence of opportunities. So not just protect her reputation, but when there are opportunities around and somebody's talking about who would be good, Avis would be great at that. Or Christina, we have to speak for each other. And the other thing, I mean, I feel like I'm connected in a number of sister groups. So I'm in Cheese for Change, and they have a women lead group. So it's good to find those communities or those tribes of folks that are connected that way. I'm in a sorority, so, you know, I have that connection as well. But I think those are some good examples. But most importantly, we've got to stand up for each other in spaces. We got to make a seat at the table for our sister, or someone else who is different from us, right? If we're really advocating for an inclusive community, then we also need to demonstrate that by listening to other people, and centering the voices of those who are most historically marginalized.
I love that. You know, I remember I was on a panel one time, and one of the questions was, how do you straighten another woman's crown without the world ever knowing it was crooked? Right? You know, because it reminds me of what you just said. I mean, you know, it's where we're treating each other like the queens that we are, right? And not making a situation that creates a challenge for another woman.
That's right.
You know, because one of the things that that unnerves me in so many ways is when it's woman on woman stuff, right? Or when you hear another woman say that it's just so hard working for a woman. Or when you hear somebody say, well, I think we need to do a man this time. You know, we need to get a man in this role this time. Absolutely. You know, and I think that anytime something like that happens and you don't say something, then that's the same thing as agreeing with it, as far as I'm concerned. If you're in silence is consent. Thank you.
Right.
And it does take all of us. And you know, conferences like this are a great way to network and to meet more people who can become a part of your tribe. Because you know, when I left New Orleans, my phone was blowing up because you know, people wanted to know what happened. Are you okay? And I mean, it gave me so much. I don't know, warmth and just a feeling of support and love. Right. And many of them, you know, people that I've just met along the way. We're not talking about necessarily that, you know, people that we go way back with or even had ever worked together at all. But you create those bonds and you support each other. Period.
Right. And the other thing I wanted to say, just speaking of this conference in particular, because it is such an amazing place to come in and hear from women leaders all around this nation who are doing great work for districts, for schools, in nonprofits, and to that kind of synergy feeling. It also reminds me of a quote I use with my sons. I always tell them, iron sharpens iron. Yes. And so it feels so good to be in these spaces where you have other women leaders who can push you on an issue. You know, while we want to be aligned and supportive, we also need to talk to our sisters who may be doing work that is harmful, right? And we should do that, I think, privately, so that you understand the perspective that person may have. But I really believe like that is really key, is for us to have these opportunities to come together in solidarity on issues, and also to mentor. There are so many women who have mentored me in my career. I know Sharon Contreras was here earlier. Christina, we met, I think 2019, and just is a person who has always just spoke my name in the presence of opportunities, has been a great friend and a colleague. So I think the more that we do that and build those alliances, that's truly how women really need to show up for one another.
I love it. Well, let's talk about going from isolation to sisterhood.
Okay.
You know, and the word isolation is on purpose because these jobs can make you feel isolated, right? I mean, there's the whole adage that we all know that it's lonely at the top. You know, I often say that's a choice, you know, because you certainly have opportunities to connect and to not be lonely at the top. But how have women leaders supported you in your journey? I know you've named some names.
Okay.
But, you know, how have you been supported?
You know, I was just thinking of back when I was a first-year principal in Nashville, Tennessee. There was an assistant superintendent who just really latched onto me, would come see me, give me ideas. And in my fourth year as a principal, she nominated me for National Association of Black School Educators, and I won a national award as the high school principal of the year. So I mean, like, I didn't even know that organization existed, and just supporting me, putting opportunities in front of me. I remember being a science teacher and our science director just asked me, hey, would you be interested in being on a committee to create an end of course test? I was like, yes. So I think we have to, look for opportunities, be open to supporting folks, right? Not everything you're asked to do is gonna, be a financial investment to you short term, but the relationships that you're building, the alliances you're building long term support you better as a leader.
I love that. That's great advice too, and congratulations on that. I know that's been a little bit ago, but that's amazing. Awesome.
So how about you? What advice would you give to women who are really building intentional sisterhoods, particularly in male-dominated fields or areas?
Mainly stay the course. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and just continue to network. There's no secret sauce or any one process in terms of how we connect with each other and support each other. If you find something that works well for you, then of course continue that and share that with others. But I think the main thing is to be intentional. And with the leadership roles, especially at the superintendent level, being so male dominated, then obviously that would fit with the question that you just asked. There are ways to convene women, right? And as you meet women, get their contact information, stay in touch with them. I'm in several WhatsApp groups, with groups that I met at one point, and sometimes we're adding other people depending on what the group is for. And so, that's one way to stay in touch with each other. And we use that space for sharing resources. If someone needs a position filled, I've had people who pop online and say, hey, I've got a chief operating officer, you guys know anyone, send them my way, that type of thing. And then there's just the spaces where you can find it for social reasons. Everything is not about work.
That's right.
Take time to have your social groups as well, and maybe they're the same.
That's
a
joy, right?
That's a joy right there, where you can do both, because we work well together, but we have fun as well.
Together,
so and you just have to figure out what works for you, and don't let the how prevent you from doing what needs to be done. Right, absolutely. Because we don't have to figure all of this out, and we can still support each other, and we can still prioritize making sure that we stay centered in our joy while also supporting other women. And I just think it's important that we do that. And I look to a time to where that conversation is not necessary anymore, right?
But until then,
because I know, sometimes we talk about what does success look like. Success looks like not having to have that conversation, right? And we know we've got our work cut out for us. And the steps that you mentioned in terms of mentioning names and giving opportunities, I think that's a real major step in the right direction. But also when you have that young rock star, teacher or assistant principal or whomever, take them under your wing, or make sure somebody does.
That's right.
Professional athletes have coaches. Absolutely. And we are so conditioned in education to think we have to go it alone, right? And figure it out ourselves, and then heaven forbid it become competitive, based on trying to get a role or recognition or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, we should be able to be inclusive with each other. And there is something really wrong with the ecosystem if we're not able to do that as women.
Absolutely.
Yes. So this has been amazing. I want to do the lightning round where I just ask you questions.
Okay. Alrighty.
This is new. So for our listeners and viewers, I've never done a lightning round before.
Okay.
And I think I have either just 3 or 4 questions.
Okay.
You ready? All right. What's your joy anthem?
Just Fine, Mary J. Blige.
So
that's
fine. Woo! What book changed?
And I would say therest also a song, Joy. I love the song Joy. Pharrell.
Yeah.
Him. Is it like his hometown church choir is singing? It's called Joy. It's so amazing. I love that. It's got a nice.
Is that your joy anthem now?
Okay, never mind. I can't throw Mary J. Blige down.
I mean, I was just asking.
I got like 3 or 4. I love music.
Okay, I'm a president of a club. I wasn't getting ready to put you out or anything. But all right, a book that changed your leadership.
The Life of Pi.
Okay, say more about that.
So it's, anybody read it? I'm looking. It just gave me such a deeper perspective on the meaning of life and the journey and challenges that people go through.
Okay.
There's so much that we have in human experience that that we have in common, and it just made me think deeper about that. Like my experience is not the only experience.
Nice.
It's not the only experience of joy. It's not the only experience of suffering. But really being able to learn and lean in to understand those common experiences that we have.
Nice. What do you do on your best self-care day?
Bubble bath. That's my first thing. I've got a mug, it's got a little bathtub on it. So I'm gonna do a detox bath. Like if my day's going by, I'm gonna listen to good music, I'm gonna have a detox bath. Those are the top things that I'm gonna do.
Okay,
Yeah.
love that. What woman leader inspires you?
Oh wow. So many. I would say Maya Angelou right now is who most resonating with me, and I've been reading some of her poems. I would say though my hero would be Harriet Tubman, for a long time, but particularly in this moment. I do believe this is somewhat of an Underground Railroad moment, that we have to really be thinking of strategies to support the things that we hold dear in our hearts, dear to our democracy, that, when we see policies maybe not working in those directions. It also, the reason Harriet Tubman would be a woman leader is just thinking of what she had to go through in that time, and the fact that she was resilient, she stood firm. Like when I'm thinking about giving up or getting just so overwhelmed, I lean on stories of my ancestors or stories of women resistors or other resistors. I'm reading a book right now called The Abolitionist. And so just thinking of people standing in the presence of empire and fighting and not giving up, even when on the outset those circumstances seem overwhelming.
I love it. I love it. Bren, thank you so much for being my guest yet again.
Thank you.
Always
Thank you so
enjoy
much.
spending time with you.
Absolutely.
And hanging out and whatnot. And so just want to remind our listeners and viewers that we are still doing the Founding 10 special. And this is where it's an exclusive opportunity to lead with joy, purpose, and intent. So if you're interested in that, please check our socials so you can find out more information. We are on IG. We're also on LinkedIn and YouTube. Yes. So make sure that you're tuning in and subscribing to our YouTube channel. And definitely looking forward to connecting with everyone at the conference, When Women Lead. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Christina Kishimoto, who is the CEO and founder of Voices for Equity. And thank you so much, Christina, for inviting us and just for the work that you do to center women in our leadership and the tools and resources that I know so many women have gotten because of your leadership. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, it's a wrap, y'all.
It's a wrap.
See you next time. And until then, keep thriving, keep shining, and keep choosing joy.